war, a military effort. That's what it's all about. So when the scriptures say, read that verse again.
Verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer?
Yeah, this dude is going to fall. Go ahead.
Son of the morning.
Continue.
How art thou cut down to the ground?
Cut down meaning brought down to the level of the other nations. Go ahead.
Which didst weaken the nations.
Which didst weaken the nations. And I've just named a few. Another way that they weaken the nation. How did the British weaken China? Through the Opium Wars of the 1800s. That's how the British weakened China. You know what I'm saying? That's how they weakened in their own country, America. This so-called war on drugs. They have all these ways where they weaken the nations. We could go on and on, but we got to get through this verse. Go ahead.
Verse 13. For thou hast said in thine heart.
So this was what he was saying in his mind. This was his intention, in other words. Go ahead.
I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
Now we got to go here. We did this one last week, but we're going to do this one again. So all of this is talking about one people. Read that verse again. Thou hast said in thine heart what?
I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High.
Now, when he said, I will ascend into heaven, hell, you already see that. This is Esau's space program, different elements of Esau's space program. So in the center, you got here the space shuttle, one of 6 that go up on missions every 2 to 4 months, man. You have different satellites. This is a space station right here, okay? You got different satellites that serve different purposes. You got communication satellites. You got weather satellites. You got reconnaissance and spy satellites. All the different types of satellites. This is Esau's what? Ascending into heaven. Go ahead. But let me say this. Because Esau with these different machinery, with all of this stuff, he literally can, let me say, if you want to see the power, just go to www.googleearth.com and download it. And then pick a quadrant. Pick a latitude and longitude and see what you want to see. Then you can see that's what and they add a new element to where you can look down, then you can come to the area and do a pan. You can actually, do a peripheral. Now that's all from a what? A satellite. And then it's camera networks. So when it said I will be like the Most High, that's what the Most High does. He's in the heavens. And he's looking down on the life in the detailed form of the life of men. Go ahead.
I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation.
The mount of the congregation literally is talking about the so-called Negroes in North America. That's another breakdown. We'll get to that. When the term mount or mountain means government, when you go into the scriptures, the tribe of Israel that will be the governing body that came, in other words, it's talking about the kings, it's talking about Judah. Christ came out the line of Judah. The Most High promised David that all the kings would come out of his seed up until the last one, Christ. So the so-called Negroes in America are the mount, or the how can I put it? The tribe through which Christ come out of. But then you also have, when you read Revelations, 12,000 tribes, or 12,000 men of each tribe that's going to be the governing body. And they're in North America. Okay, that's that. When you read that, this is a whole different breakdown. But I was just, for the sake of that verse, it said, down it said, what, read that again?
I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the side of the north.
The sides of the north is talking about North America and all the ghettos and slums that we're pushed to. Like when you go to a place like New York or San Francisco or all those centers, you don't find our people can't even afford to live in an area. We live in all the little areas, say it again?
The outskirts.
All the outskirts, all the areas around downtown LA, around midtown Manhattan. We live in the Bronx, we live in, and speaking concerning New York, you know what I'm saying, living in the Bronx, we're living in Brooklyn, different areas like that, but we never can afford that high value real estate area. So the point was, his goal, his intention was to govern us in his dwelling place forever. That's all it's saying. Go ahead.
Verse 14.
Verse 14.
I will ascend above the heights of the clouds.
Once again, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. Get that one in the center, because that's beautiful, because that's a center shot, that's a satellite shot of of come on around if you want to see emancipation. Yeah, a satellite shot of the space shuttle above the cloud, but the satellite is above it. You know what I mean? So when he said, I will ascend above the clouds, the Most High is showing Esau to give us a shot of the space shuttle above the clouds, and in order to take that shot, the satellite got to be above it. So who else is that talking about? Go ahead.
I will be like the Most High.
I will be like the Most High. In other words, he's going to be in the lives of all the men, just watching everybody. And then Esau also has his other aspects of trying to be the Most High. You know, his form of creating. Go ahead.
Verse 15. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
So when it said, thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit, it's saying he's going to come down and be in that third world condition. Now when it said third world condition, you know what it's talking about? It's literally talking about plantation, man, being in rags and stuff, being a slave. That's what he's talking about. When you think of third world, really, all the third world countries are nothing more than slaves to the empire, man. That's why they give tribute. You got Guatemala that gives fruit. Guatemala gives fruit and coffee. You know what I'm saying? Then you got other countries that give oil. You got Kuwait, Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, all these places that were Saudi Arabia that are in Esau's wealth, that's what they give. You got places like South Africa that give gold and diamonds. You got places like, no, it's all over the world. You got some people, some countries, that give nothing but military support. You got others that give, quote, military, they give neutrality. When I say neutrality, in other words, when all these first world countries go to war and have clash with one another, you got other countries that serve as safe haven for their goods, where all the leaders and the key players that set up these wars can still retain their holding. Places like Switzerland, places, you know what I'm saying, like that, where you can still have offshore banks. So read on down.
Verse 16. They that see thee.
Now listen to this. It's talking once again about the so-called white man. It says those people that see. Now remember, if this is Lucifer and he didn't fall from heaven, how can nobody? It's saying he's a spirit. Nobody's supposed to be able to see them. But this verse is saying they that see thee. Go ahead.
Shall narrowly look upon thee.
Narrowly look upon somebody. Says to literally look at someone with disdain. To look at someone with hatred, with abhorrence, with disgust. Go ahead.
And consider thee.
And check. When does it consider you? Ponder you. Checking you out, saying what?
Saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble?
Now let me say this. We got another sign for that. Is this the man that made the what? The earth to tremble? Now I love it because when it said it made the earth to tremble, it's literally talking about the bombardment. How did Esau make hell? How did he make Hiroshima tremble? How did he make Nagasaki tremble? In other words, with his bombs, man. So more recently, these are photos from, Getty Images. You can go to Getty.com and look at and type in a topic, and they got all type of news clipping photos from how either from current events or past events. But the point is, these shots that you see was the beginning of a campaign that Esau called in March of 2003, Operation Shock and Awe. You know what I mean? So, this Shade Nation you see, I want you to, for the most part, focus in on all the ones that have fire, because that's the bombardment that took place at night. Read that again.
Is this the man that made the earth to tremble?
Go ahead.